Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is Ship Updates. Now, initially, it looked like it was going to be a really dry week. And you guys know, like, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that sometimes when things are really slow, I'll throw a little piracy show in just to kind of get some information out there, or just, you know, share some of my thoughts on any news that comes up. And initially, it looked like we weren't going to get really much of anything. Now, we did get some little things, so we'll go through that real quick, and then we'll deal with something else that happened that I wasn't expecting, but I think will be pretty damn cool. And at first, the Caterpillar. Now, we all know about the Caterpillar. Caterpillar coming in 2.6, which is in the hands of the Evocati, and in as little as 6 days, hopefully, the rest of us will be playing. But once again, no guarantee, wait and see. So, the Caterpillar, these prongs here on the front of the Caterpillar. Now, we've at different times thought that these were weapons or maybe tractor beams, but we got a definitive answer on RTV that they are in fact not guns. Right now, they're decorative, and hopefully we will find out what they are for beyond that, maybe as, you know, some type of sensors or the mounts for tractor beams for holding larger ships in place. Possibly, who knows? I guess, you know, once again, wait and see, but these are in fact not guns. Nor is it intended that they are going to be guns, because I think when they were saying on RTV, they were saying that they would end up being something like size 6s, and they felt that that was too much firepower for the Caterpillar to have. So, yeah, they are not guns. Now, also in November, we found out in the subscriber town hall that NPC crews weren't going to be in for 3.0. So if you're operating a ship and you have some NPCs and you're thinking, well, hopefully now in 3.0 I might be able to crew my ship with those NPCs, not coming in 3.0, and no real indication given as to when that I picked up on. So yeah, it was looking like a pretty dry week. And then, well, before I show it, I do have to apologize because the audio in this video that I'm going to show you, I guess somebody was bumping the table or bumping the mic while they were talking, so the audio is a little bit iffy, but still, it's worth watching, because up until this video, you know, I pretty much was like, well, that's all I got. How am I going to make a video out of that? And then this happened.
How do you envision a slow ship escaping a very fast and nimble ship with the new system?
Slowly. It's probably the answer to that. For the example, I'd presume like Starfarer-sized or bigger versus like say a Buccaneer. They will be able to throttle up and afterburn. It's going to take them a while to get going, but the bigger ships have higher afterburn speeds. Same for it's like the carriers eventually will have some of the fastest afterburn speeds. So once they get going and they're at that speed, you won't be able to really catch up with them with afterburn in the smaller fighters. You'll have to quantum ahead and sort of try and intercept them that way, or use equal ships to get there. So for the big ships, it's really about defending yourself long enough during that period where you're trying to get away, because you will do eventually if you stay intact. You've got countermeasures, you've got hopefully turrets and people capable of using them on there to ward them off. Big ships are pretty tough, so they could take a bit of damage.
All right. Here's another question from
So, the bigger a ship is, you know, potentially the higher the top afterburner speed. So, one thing is it kind of reaffirms the value of these two ships, because we've heard that the Buccaneer and the Cutlass are gonna kind of play some kind of role in an interdiction mechanic. It's been implied in the past, but we've never gotten any real concrete information. It's something we're gonna see in the future, but now, knowing that larger ships potentially can outrun you with, Afterburner, now you can kind of see an added value to these ships, because if they do have that interdiction mechanic, be it tractor beams or some other method of slowing a ship down, that's interesting. That kind of makes these fighters a lot more interesting. And initially a lot of people say, I'm a little bit safer, I want to go towards a Cutlass, or no, sorry, I want to play something a little bit safer, I want to go towards a Hornet or something else. If you're trying to interdict people in the future, those two ships may become a lot more viable. Now, of course, this is relative to Afterburner, which is relative to your ability to kind of keep your Afterburners going. Possibly, how much fuel you can take in while you're using them, how you're using them, the exact technique behind it. We've heard little tidbits here and there, but to really kind of start saying, oh, this will be this and this will be that, we have to kind of play with it, and we have to use it, and we have to get some experience with it before we can really kind of say this will be this and this will be that. But one of my biggest qualms with a certain ship has always been its speed. And now, of course, I'm talking about the Vanguard and the broader Vanguard family. But if it's possible now that these ships are going to have even a slight speed advantage over smaller ships, then all of a sudden that weapon layout appears a lot more viable. Now, I've always been a fan of the way the weapons are placed. I've always liked centralized firepower. And, I mean, if you're flying with a HOTAS, you'll probably think, yeah, I kind of like that too. I just wish the ship were faster or more maneuverable. Well, now possibly this ship could become a lot faster. With those big intakes, possibly you can better maintain Afterburners. So, you may end up getting the boom and zoom fighter that I think a lot of people, myself included, always felt that the Vanguard kind of implied, but in its first, iteration into the game, it kind of fell flat in that regard. Whereas now, if this does play out this way, it could become a lot more interesting of a ship. Now, of course, it's probably not going to have a broad speed advantage, but it kind of would make it more of a ship that's more skill based. It's more about maintaining that momentum, kind of, cutting a swath through a battle and then coming out the other side, then looking back, surveying the area, looking for your next target, and then sweeping down on that target and kind of working to maintain that momentum. And, even with that one turret, it becomes a lot more interesting of a ship. Now, I'm going to try to stop saying interesting as much, but you know what I mean? It opens up possibilities, and that's one of the biggest qualms that I always had with the Vanguard, was it was just so goddamn slow. And now, with this new mechanic, possibly fixed. So I think for those ships, that looks really good. But even going beyond that, with industrial ships, with passenger ships, the fact that, if you're a good pilot or at least a good captain who has a good pilot, and you're all working together and you're all got your head on your shoulders, you'll start to realize possibly the value of those Afterburners. Now, of course, different ships, different systems, a lot of different ways that this can play out. Maybe some ships aren't that good at maintaining fuel, so they can kind of get up there and boost up for a while and maintain that speed for a short while, maybe enough to get themselves away from trouble. And then they have to more or less break out, but it raises a lot of possibilities with those ships. Also, let's say if you're looking at, say, an Idris or a Javelin, now you don't have to worry about a fleet of Retaliators possibly as much, kind of descending down upon you. If you're wading into a battle and you've already got that speed up, and hopefully can maintain it, things like Retaliators or Gladiators might not be that much of a threat to you as you previously thought. So it kind of makes those investments a little less chancy, possibly. But once again, this is stuff that, you know, I'd love to talk about more. But I really think that, you know, a while ago I said about these SCM changes, I'm not going to comment on it until I can play it and I can start to kind of imagine how this is going to play out in real player versus player scenarios. But I like the possibilities that are presented here. I'm going to say interesting again. I find it very interesting. And so I'm very much looking forward to 2.6 and into the future being able to test this mechanic out and see how it relates to different ship systems, what parts you might need to buy to really kind of max something like this out. It raises a lot of possibilities. And, you know, I'm going to take some time over the weekend and kind of think about it some more. But once again, you got to test it out. You got to really see it before you can really comment on it too much. It's just the possibilities are there. And certainly for this ship. So 2.6 is definitely going to present some interesting possibilities. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and thanks for watching.
Quantum travel initiated.